Miss Kentucky, back for another episode of Miss Kentucky Proud. And this week's episode is brought to you right here in Lexington at the Hacker Family Farm. And I've got a very special member of that farm with me today. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself to our guests?
Hi there, my name's Tammy Potter and I work for the Kentucky Department of Agriculture as the Kentucky State Apiarist. And what that means is I travel around the state doing inspections, making sure that hives are healthy, and helping beekeepers increase honey production. And today, Alex and I are going to jump into some hives, and I have my smoker going, and the smoker helps disguise our chemicals so the bees are less likely to sting. I have a hive tool which helps us work the hives more efficiently, and then we also have our veils, and that helps us from getting stung.
We've got all the right equipment with us today, and I think Tammy's going to teach us a little bit about the things that we would need to get started if we were interested in being beekeepers. She's got years of experience on me, so I'm going to let her be the expert for the day, and I am here for the ride. Did you know that the honeybee is the official agricultural insect of the state of Kentucky? She's a pretty big deal if you ask me. I can't wait to show you guys around our hundreds of beehives that have thousands of bees inside them. Let's take a look.
So I have my smoker, and I've already smoked the entrance, and I've smoked the top. I've smoked my hands, and I'll smoke Alex's hands. And this basically just hides the soap and the chemicals that we may have come in contact through the course of the day. I have my hive tool, which will help me work the bees more efficiently and reduce my chances of being stung. And then we both have our veil on so that we can also reduce our chances of getting stung. So
we want to make sure we wear all of our protective equipment, just like if we're out on the farm, we're going to use all of our safety gear. But you guys might not believe this. There are actually close to 40,000 bees in this particular hive, just right here.
The very top of our hive is going to have the honey that the bees will need to get through wintertime. Typically, every hive needs 60 pounds of honey to get through November all the way to February. So what we are doing right now is looking at New England Asters, which are some of the last flowers to still bloom in the fall. And New England Asters are particularly valuable to honeybee hives because they produce pollen, which is protein, and they produce nectar, which is carbohydrates for the hive. And I don't know if you can see this bee, but you can see her pollen baskets have yellow pollen on them. And the flower helps the bees out. This is another bee that has pollen in her pollen baskets. The New England Aster helps the bees out by advertising. And the way that flowers advertise is by petal structure. And we call those floral nectar guides. So any type of petal structure which has multiple petals is basically serving like a landing strip at an airport. It's helping that bee find where the nectar is and where the pollen is. So this is what a honey frame looks like. Alex and I were looking at the New England Asters, and the bees were slurping up nectar in their honey crop, and they brought that nectar back. Nectar has 80% water.
Wow.
So what the bees end up doing is dehydrating that water, and then once it's been dehydrated, then it's ready to be capped over. If it's capped, then that's true honey, and like I said, at that point in time, it can stay edible safely for up to 100 years. Alex, do you want to hold it?
Oh, sure.
Just to feel how heavy it is.
Oh my gosh. This is insanely heavy. You guys, I never would have imagined this to be so heavy. These bees are so hard at work.
If you would like, I do have tasting spoons if you would like to try honey.
Wow. I mean, I think that when in Rome, right? So we're just gonna right there?
Just like that. Yep. Perfect.
Oh my gosh. Oh, is that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough? Wow. That's really good. That's really good. I'm pretty impressed.
So this frame is showing the brood This will be the young of the hives. Brood is the baby bees. And right now, you can't see the baby bees because they are underneath their own individual capping. But this is what we call a brood frame. This time of year, what I'm looking for are just any signs of disease here in the brood area where the babies are, or among the workers, which will take care of them.
So I'm really curious. I have heard everybody talk about the queen bee, but can you tell me what the buzz is about?
So every single hive here is approximately 40,000 bees, and each hive has its own queen. And what the queen does is lay eggs. That is her sole primary function. And it's timed with the length of the day and the amount of nutrition coming from those flowers inside the hive.
Oh.
So as days get longer in February, the plants respond by producing more protein, and especially in the form of pollen. And as pollen comes into the hive, the queen says, okay, we have enough nutrition, I can start laying eggs. So she has her own chemical, we call that a pheromone. And each hive has its own queen pheromone. And the bees pick up on that pheromone by using their antenna. It's like their nose. So that's how they find where their home is.
It's like they've got an internal GPS.
And it's those pheromones that we are working to neutralize with a smoker.
Makes sense.
But the queens are really important. And if something happens to her, say for instance a bear comes through and knocks the hive off and kills her, her daughters will pick up on that absence of her pheromone immediately.
Wow.
And so then they will begin to rear another queen. And so one of the things that I'm doing, and I was doing today, was looking to see that we had a queen in here and that they are what we call queen right. And I know that they are. Going into wintertime, that's a pretty big deal.
It's very important. Well, they don't waste any time in replacing their monarchy, that's for sure. Well, guys, I learned so much about bees today. Not even just the bees, but the queen bees and their process of how they make honey and gather the nectar. And it's truly amazing how they do all these things. So I'm so excited I got to try the honey before it hits the bottle. I'm curious, if I wanted to become a beekeeper, what steps would you encourage me to take?
So I like to tell people to first of all spend an entire year going to a local bee association before you spend one dime on beekeeping equipment or bees.
Where can I find those beekeeping associations?
The Kentucky Department of Ag Honeybee website has a list of all of the bee associations in Kentucky. There are approximately 54.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a bee association every 2 counties. And you can reach out to your local county cooperative extension agent and they should have that information as well.
So there are lots of resources available completely free. If you want to learn about the beekeeping process, join an association. Heck, maybe they could go shadow a beekeeper for a day and learn about what it's really like to live this lifestyle, right?
We encourage that before anybody spends any money.
Yeah.
Because beekeeping isn't for everyone.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart because you have nerves of steel, that's for sure. Guys, thank you for tuning in today to learn about bees, the official agricultural insect of the state of Kentucky, and we'll see you next week.